guys.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Coach, just talk about last night. You guys sweep Mizzou again. That had to be cool, especially with how it ended.
Yeah, it was awesome. Told my wife that fourth inning took 6 months off my life, and the eighth put 8 months back on. So I was a net 2 last night. But yeah, what an awesome game. I loved how we came out. We were super prepared, and Cannon was great. Had a plan to kind of space it and use our bullpen, and ran into a ton of trouble in the fourth and just couldn't get out of it. But I thought it was awesome in the fifth how we chipped away and got one back. And so at that point, when it was 8-7, we just continued to put together quality at bats, and then obviously punched it through in the eighth. But I thought Seidel really, he was outstanding. But it was a crazy environment. Like, it was legit hostile over there, and our guys just fed off it. They loved every second of it. So really fun. Obviously, rivalry games are super important to college athletics, and that was a great win for us.
Did you know that your team would be the one that could feed off of it, or is that something you learn when a rivalry game happens?
I think I think I thought we would, and opening weekend we saw some of it. UTRGV was that times a bunch, and they were right on top of you, and our guys loved that. So, and then obviously here our students are insane. So. They love that. In the fall I thought they'd have that in them, but you don't know until you're in the fire. So it's been fun to see them respond.
Last year's group kind of had that comeback mentality. Is that something that you're seeing forged with this year's team as well?
For sure, and I think the core group of returners probably a big chunk of that, and then probably just a little bit of the fabric of who we are as a program and what we value. And I think sounds cliche-ish, the day-to-day thing, but it's very real here. Like, last night was awesome, and then when the guys get done lifting and come out here to practice, it's over and done with. Use the energy from last night to have a great practice today to get ready for a great weekend.
Last year, offensively, you guys had a lot of talented guys. This year, is there even more depth in the lineup? Because it sure seems that way with any given night. It could be somebody else, and you guys are putting up a lot of runs. Yeah.
Coming into the year, I thought the depth of our lineup would be stronger. I had questions on, if we'd have a Jackson Hauge who's going to hit 20 home runs. Obviously thought that, Brady and Dariel would be the guys that carried in that category. And did think we'd have a bunch of guys that hit double-digit home runs, but I didn't know if we'd have a guy that hit 25 or whatever. So the length of our lineup is our strength right now. Like, Dylan Schlotterbeck's the greatest 9-hole hitter in college baseball, and unbelievable direction to the middle of the field. And you just go up and down the whole thing from, Bach's been awesome, and we've shuffled the lineup a ton. We've actually yesterday may have been the first time we played the same lineup 2 days in a row, which I'm sure BP will point out to me later today. But Baldridge has been awesome. LeBlanc's been awesome. And you just go through it, and it's a quality at bat after quality at bat. So yeah, I think there are a lot of similarities. We don't have as much swing and miss as we did a year ago, and I don't know that in a long drive competition last year's team probably gets us, but in a consistency of 1 through 9, I think it's a better strength for us this year.
Pitching wise, talk about the weekend rotate. We haven't talked to you a ton recently, but Bodie slides into Friday, Dom's now Sunday, and obviously Matisse has been great on Saturday. Just kind of take us through your mindset process of making that transition.
Yeah, I think you're always just trying to find the right pieces and how does it line up, and early in the year it was funky because we played you start on a Friday, and then we had a midweek on a Wednesday, and then ended up with 2 Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday series back to back. And so Cook kind of fell into that Thursday role, and the way it's spaced out, it made sense to bump guys back to give them an extra day of rest rather than bump them forward. And you kind of eye Easter weekend and the BYU weekend in terms of those are spots that you're going to have to go on short rest. So how you line that up is really weeks in advance, because you don't, like, we can't bump a guy from Saturday to Thursday or Sunday to Friday. You can do Saturday to Friday or Friday to Thursday. So it just worked out that way. I think the rotation's important, that you have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday lined up, but I think it's more important that you have three really good starters that are basically interchangeable. I mean, the way that Matisse and Dom pitched the last 2 weekends, they're both what Friday night arms look like. And then Bodie, it was just honestly, what kind of the selling factor for us is we played at McNeese on Sunday, and kind of the thought going into that Sunday game was we have to have the lead because they had a bullpen guy, and I'll butcher his name if I try to say it, but they had a guy in the bullpen that was just looming, and the second they got the lead, we knew he was coming in. We got the lead early, and he came in and stuffed us for 4 or 5 innings, and he was unbelievable. And then I think it was the following week they bumped him to the rotation, and we were like, Bodie's been so good for us, and he's so competitive. And on Friday night, you kind of need a guy that wakes up looking for a street fight. Bodie's got some of that in his blood, so it's been good. I don't anticipate messing with it. And those three are great athletes and great workers. They all recover well, so it's been good.
For the up and down season Dom's had at times, just how good was it to see a series like Cincinnati from him?
Yeah, he was electric. Absolutely. He threw a 98.2 mile an hour fastball in like the 6th with like a 94 mile an hour sinker. So he's got 2 fastballs going. He's got 2 breaking balls going. He's got great feel for his changeup, and I think he's just freed up and competing right now. I don't think he's got. Dom never really has a whole lot going on stress-wise, I don't think, but right now he's as free as can be, so it's been fun to watch him.
What has it been like seeing what LeBlanc's been able to accomplish for you guys of late, especially in big moments?
Oh, he's awesome. He's been incredible. You know, we've had really good shortstops here in Cranford and Smith, and LeBlanc has been every bit of both those guys defensively. Maybe those guys will get mad at me for saying this, but maybe even a tick more range. Different players than those two, but he has been so good defensively. He can run. He's been able to steal bases. He can move the ball the other way when he needs to move guys, and then the power just continues to get better and better. So wasn't surprising, really. We knew he was good, and I think it's been fun to see how competitive he is. Like he is. There's a reason that he won a national championship in junior college. He's pretty tough.
The autism awareness game is obviously one that's important to you. Just how important is it that you've been able to do it every year since you've been here?
Yeah, it's you know, as an assistant coach, I kind of had the thought and the idea that that'd be a fun thing to do someday. Worked for incredible head coaches who would have been more than willing to do it then, but as an assistant, it's, you know, all I thought about was recruiting and getting ready for the next game. And so when I got here, there were some things in place with the head coach's playbook where we were able to do some things to engage our student athletes in some different causes and things that were important to us. And, you know, I've always joked, for better or worse, the players get some of my life. You know, they I think there are great parts to that, and I think they're, you know, are and I think that's true of any head coach. Your life kind of becomes, all of our lives kind of intermingle. And so the idea, which I talked about literally on day 1 here of this autism awareness game, we had a great first one, and it's just continued to grow and grow, and literally to draw awareness to something that's affecting lots and lots of families. And we've done just that. It's a very small piece of it, but, you know, we get such an incredible platform as coaches and student athletes, and to be able to use it for good, I think is really important. So there are a lot of families and people in this community that will be here that otherwise wouldn't necessarily. You know, Kelly and I in our spare time are not running around to different ballparks, you know, looking for time to spend with Max at a game. That's like, I was at Will's game the other day, and, you know, you spend 3 innings just kind of getting settled in. And so to create an environment that's that is encouraging those families to come out, where we're trying to make it as sensory neutral as possible, is really special. And I think there's and I never word this correctly, but there's an awareness piece to it. But there's also a real celebratory piece to it too. Of my life is incredibly impacted by autism. Our family's life is incredibly impacted, and I could write down a list of things that are tough. The list of things that are amazing would never end. And so, we look through the world through a completely different lens because of Max. And I think that our players probably get a little bit of that. I know my staff does. I've got a great picture of a staff meeting that we had before the season where Max came to the office with me one morning, and we're all sitting there, and Max is sitting on the couch, and he's leaned up against Hancock, and Hancock's got his notes out, and he's presenting, and Max is just leaned up against him. And stuff like that happens all the time with our families just intertwining. You look up, and Brandon's got Reese out on the field, or Ryan's got Murphy down here, Tyler's got his kids in the cage. So there's a intermingling of that our players get to experience. But I think it's on a personal level, I think knowing that 30 whatever guys on our team are seeing a non-typical developing kid and experiencing that, I think it might not change their life now, but they'll be more aware of things moving forward. And so, it's a super long answer, but it's been a really special thing for us, and the way that the community, I can't wear this hat out in the community without 10 people coming up to me and talking about a relative, a family member, a friend, whatever, who's impacted by autism. So it's been really cool.
With how much rosters change year over year, how cool is it to see each roster you've had embrace just this game and everything that is part of it?
Yeah, I think I know our coaches probably said things about our generation, and I don't know what they would have said. We didn't have cell phones, so they're this generation watches too much TV or whatever it was back then. And I think every generation kind of looks at the new one, and gosh, it used to bug me when guys would text me on the bus, because I'm like, guys, I'm 14 feet in front of you. You can literally just say my name and I'll hear you. And now it's just a part of it. Like, I text guys who are 6 feet behind me on the bus now. I text my wife from different rooms in our house, like, hey. So I think things evolve, but we do have a tendency to look and say, well, kids these days. I look at it a little differently. I am so impressed with the generation that I get to coach. They're kind, they're empathetic, they're accepting, they're aware. They have I'd say that's one word that I'd use to describe last year's team and this year's team is kind. Like, they are very, very kind to each other. Now, they can pop each other on some stuff too. It's very funny, and I don't get half the jokes they talk about, but they're very kind. And so I think to watch them interact with kids like Max and other people in different environments and different settings is really cool. And we try to do that with a bunch of things. That's why we go to the Negro League Museum, so that they can experience something that will impact them forever. And I've often said if 10 years from now they're talking about I was going to say our steel sign, but we have 20 of those this year. If they're talking about our bunt coverages, then I have massively failed as a head coach. So I think hopefully all those things are making an impact.
Looking at Utah, they've put up some big offensive numbers recently. Just what stands out to you about them?
Yeah, they've got a real Friday night guy, and we had a great game against them last year. And Brett came in with a one-pitch save, I think. Dom went 9 2/3, had a banger at 8 2/3, had a bang play at first base that could have gone either way, and Breck ended up throwing one pitch, line out to the right fielder against a really good pitcher. So Friday night, they've got a great one. Saturday, they've got a really good starter, or TBD on Sunday. So I think it starts on the mound. They've got a nice staff, and then very deep offensive lineup. Versatile. Coach Williams, their hitting coach, has been one of the top offensive guys around. We coached against each other 20 years ago when I was at Flagler and he was at Embry-Riddle. He's really sharp. we went. They went an entire game last year against us on Saturday. 0 punch-outs. We beat them. I think it was 12 to 4. I think they hit a home run kind of late. Was it 12-4? You don't remember. I don't either. I think it was 12-4. I think they hit a home run late, and but they did not strike out once in the game. So they've got a really good offensive approach. Gary Henderson is, coached literally forever and has been at some unbelievable places and has had nothing but success. So when I think of Utah, I think of really well coached, really fundamental. They play defense, tough lineup 1 through 9, and they can pitch. So it's, and if you quoted me on Cincinnati last week, it would have sounded very similar. And whoever we play next week, I'm sure it'll sound the same. So these guys are really good, and it's another weekend in the Big 12. We got to be buckled up.
Anything else, guys?